Our team coverage continues with advocates for abuse survivors. As 7 Eyewitness News reporter Ed Riley tells us tonight, they are now demanding greater transparency when it comes to the church.
Well, it's just an outrage.
I think it's sad because it's nasty, you know?
Sadness, disappointment, and anger are the reactions people are having upon hearing that attorneys have publicly identified 13 former priests from the Diocese of Buffalo who were accused of sexually abusing children.
And since this is broken, I've gotten so many phone calls, and they're really from older men that are calling.
For 22 years, Judith Burns Quinn has helped counsel local victims as the Buffalo coordinator for the Survivors Network of those abused by priests. Most victims are men who were former altar boys.
They're being abused between saying Mass and school, going to the rectory. That's not uncommon.
Even though some of the victims are now in their 70s and 80s, they still carry the shame and scars from being abused.
You know, too many people believe they were just touched, but it's much worse than that.
Suicide is not uncommon, and Burns Quinn said many feel guilty for not speaking out sooner to protect others.
Instead of the shame being placed on the abuser, the shame is placed on the victim.
She also believes there are many other priest abusers and wonders why the diocese is not making names public.
If they weren't religious, we would want to know where a pedophile was residing, and yet they don't do that.
Recent media reports have focused attention on the problem of priest perpetrators, something Burns Quinn hopes will give courage to long silent victims.
Bringing the problem out is the beginning of healing.
She is now encouraging victims to report their abusers, and while it is a dark secret, Burns Quinn hopes that dealing with it will ultimately restore faith in the priesthood.
I mean, there certainly were a lot of good priests in the diocese, and they've got a bad name. Many of them don't wear collars because of that.
Ed Riley, 7 Eyewitness News.